Good Thursday morning, and thank you for joining us here on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Jason Hackett. Today is a KARE 11 Weather Impact Alert Day, and the impacts are starting earlier than we thought. Our weather team is tracking some rain moving into the metro this afternoon. Washout rain could bring as much as 3 inches across the metro by tomorrow morning. Our team issues these alerts when weather will impact your plans. We're going to check in with meteorologist John Ziegler in just a little bit. Breaking news, though, this morning. First, in India, there appears to be no survivors after a passenger plane with more than 240 people on board crashes into a neighborhood. According to officials there, the plane went down shortly after takeoff from Ahmedabad, crashing into a neighborhood near the airport, and they don't think there are any survivors. The plane is a Boeing 787 Dreamliner. This is the first crash ever for that type of aircraft. Boeing released a statement this morning saying they are aware of the crash and are trying to gather more information. Developing this morning, police in Brooklyn Center shoot and injure a man while responding to a domestic disturbance call. According to police, the man came out of a home near 63rd Avenue North and Beard Avenue North with a chainsaw during a standoff. Michelle Beck has been on scene all night. She's here with an update.
State investigators have clearly taken over the scene. We were here around 3:30 this morning when that Minnesota BCA truck got here. Agents are now looking into how officers shot a man while they were trying to arrest him. So take a look at some of the key pieces of evidence we saw: bullet casings, a police shield, and this, a chainsaw in the middle of the road. Brooklyn Center police say that chainsaw is what the man came out of a house with after they initially got here last night around 10:30 for a reported domestic issue. In those early moments, police say they knew a person was armed with knives. That info coming from yet a second person calling for help inside the home. When officers tried to arrest the man, he came out with that chainsaw. Officers say they used pepper balls and less lethal tools before firing their guns and hitting the man. He went to the hospital but is expected to be okay. Now, we watched 2 videos shot by 2 witnesses. In that video, we could see and we could hear that chainsaw powered on and in that man's hands. Those videos also show us the officers firing their guns. Brooklyn Center PD says the officers are on critical incident leave. Back to you.
Michelle, thank you very much. New developments this morning related to the recent violence outside of high school graduation ceremonies. 2 men are now facing federal charges for their alleged roles in 2 separate shootings. 20-year-old Hamza Saeed is charged with unlawful possession of a machine gun. He allegedly shot 2 people outside of Mariucci Arena after Wayzata's graduation last month. Authorities also say they found a Glock semi-automatic pistol on him and a switch that turned the gun into an automatic machine gun. 18-year-old Amir Ali is charged with the same crime. Officers found a gun under his seat during a traffic stop on June 3rd. The gun was also equipped with a Glock switch. According to court documents, Ali said they were heading to the Edina graduation ceremony at the U. Court documents show Ali was arrested that day but was released from custody 2 days later without charges. It was just 24 hours after his release. He was arrested in Burnsville for alleged involvement in the shooting outside of the graduation ceremony there. A new video from overnight showing tensions rising across the country as more cities take part in anti-ICE protests. Spokane and Seattle, Washington, Las Vegas and Los Angeles all seeing hundreds, even thousands taking to the streets, some of the protests turning violent. Law enforcement in LA says during the day protests remain mostly peaceful, but they say when the sun goes down, things take a turn. A brand new video out of Spokane this morning showing police gearing up and several protesters getting arrested. They were arrested, according to police, for not cooperating with a newly enacted curfew put in place on Wednesday night. Curfews just like this are in place in cities across the countries where protests are popping up. Well, happening right now, the White House is doubling down on the need for Marines and National Guard in Los Angeles as ICE raid protests rattle the city for a 6th night. The armed forces' presence in a major U.S. city comes ahead of President Trump's military parade and birthday celebration in Washington. Lawmakers from both parties are questioning the optics of the event and also the price tag. NBC's Chris Ballone has the latest details from Washington.
With a mandatory curfew in effect in the affected area of downtown Los Angeles for the 2nd night in a row, it was a relatively quiet night in downtown Los Angeles after the 6th straight day of anti-ICE protests. With ICE protests erupting across the country, this one in Seattle, where overnight police arrested several demonstrators The epicenter remains Los Angeles, where thousands of National Guard troops are keeping watch and 700 Marines are poised to join them. Democrats on Capitol Hill are questioning the president's motives.
Our Marines train for combat in the Indo-Pacific, not for securing the streets of Los Angeles.
President Trump insisting protests against ongoing immigration raids would have been much worse if he hadn't acted.
They didn't have the police to handle it. The police were asking us to come in.
State and local leaders say the situation was under control and accuse the president of manufacturing a crisis.
Maybe we are part of a national experiment to determine how far the federal government can go in reaching in and taking over power.
The rare military activation in an American city comes as Washington prepares for a big show of military might as well. A parade celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Army Saturday on President Trump's 79th birthday. With a price tag of up to $45 million, even some Republicans wonder if it's worth it.
Never been a big fan of goose-stepping soldiers in big tanks and missiles rolling down the street. So if you ask me, I wouldn't have done it.
I would save the money, but it's, if the president wants to have a parade, he's the president and I'm not.
The parade will feature more than 60 tanks rolling down Constitution Avenue and 6,000 soldiers marching along. The last time Washington hosted a military parade, 1991, to celebrate the end of the Gulf War. The price tag back then, about $12 million. In Washington, Chris Pallone, now back to you.
Well, happening today, a woman arrested last week during federal raids in the Twin Cities makes her first court appearance. Isabella Lopez is charged with assaulting federal officers while they executed search warrants on Lake Street. Many in the crowd believe the officers were there conducting immigration raids. Supporters for Lopez protested outside of the Sherburne County Jail yesterday, where she's being held. They're demanding that she be released. They say they'll pack the court today during her hearing. Here's a live look at the nation's capital, where this morning Governor Walz will testify about Minnesota's sanctuary state policies. He'll be joined by governors from Illinois and New York in front of the U.S. House Oversight Committee. Chairman James Comer is asking them to testify on their state's policies when it comes to immigration enforcement. The committee is seeking to investigate whether Democrat-led cities and states are shielding undocumented immigrants from deportation. Right now, the State Department is preparing to evacuate non-essential staff from the U.S. Embassy in Iraq. According to the White House, the evacuation is because of heightened security risks in the region, but it's unclear exactly what those risks are. An Iraqi government official says Baghdad is unaware of any security threats in Iraq that would warrant the U.S. Embassy to evacuate some of its employees. White House officials say President Donald Trump is aware of the decision. Developing right now, word that Minnesota's recreational pot products just got more expensive and the retail market hasn't even launched yet. As part of a last-minute budget deal this week, lawmakers agreed to raise the tax from 10 to 15%, making it one of the higher rates in the country. Cannabis retailers are worried that when pot shops open this summer, the increase will force people to keep turning to the black market where it's cheaper.
It's going to hurt the community or the market, being the customer, being the most important, and the retail locations.
The move is part of the larger omnibus tax bill that lawmakers say adds another $76 million in revenue in the next 2 years, when the state is facing a deficit of $6 billion by 2028. The National Veterans Wheelchair Games are headed to Minneapolis next month. While it's been around for nearly half a century, it's only the second time in 20 years that our local VA has hosted the event. Ian Russell had a chance to catch up with some of those vets in training.
You don't often hear this outside a hospital.
All right, let's go and just serve around.
But this is no ordinary hospital. And these are no ordinary people.
I couldn't even see it because I got no vision on this side.
For Bruce Henderson, new experiences.
Probably the last 2 years I was in the military, I ended up injuring my back.
Are part of life.
So I fall a lot, which has created TBIs and a few other enjoyable things.
Part of what brought him here.
It's a journey, so you know what? Take the good with the bad.
The highs and the lows of life don't come unless you open up.
I'm trying softball this year, so it's going to be interesting.
What better way to do that than in front of a crowd?
It's the ability to let go of what all your worries are, and you just go and enjoy.
For the first time in 20 years, the Twin Cities are hosting the National Veterans Wheelchair Games, a chance for injured veterans to compete and connect.
Yeah, it's the camaraderie. It's almost like going back in time when you're in the military.
From pickleball to bocce ball.
Yeah, you're getting good.
To everything in between.
We get to see, people kind of at their worst, and this is when we get to see them back at their finest.
A chance to get back out there.
This event is just an incredible way for our veterans to get back out and return to return back to life.
More than just a game.
Everybody here is a team.
A chance to enjoy life outside the hospital.
Bass fishing's probably my favorite. Bad day of fishing's better than a good day of work.
In Minneapolis, Ian Russell.
Nice shot.
KARE 11 News.
Awesome story there. Stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.